morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Beth Reinders, and I'm a member of the board and the co-chair of the worship committee. And I'd like to start by apologizing that I'm not Charlie Tyler. But as we gather together this morning, I hope that you can feel the same heartfelt embrace that he always offers us. To those of you who are visiting us for the first or second time, we'd like to extend a special welcome. And if it feels agreeable to you, we invite you to stand, tell us your name and where you've come from. And later, when we all share coffee and refreshments, I can assure you that you will meet a neighbor, either near or afar. So is there anybody on my right, your left, who is with us for a first or second time, wants to stand, please?
I'm Catherine, and you know me, I've been coming here for quite a few months, but my granddaughter Tina is with me this morning. She lives on Eastern Head.
Welcome. Anybody in the centered section who is visiting us first or second time?
We're Ruth and Brian Mackey. We're from Portland, Oregon, and we just moved here to Bluffton.
Welcome. And anybody on my left, your right, who's with us? Sit.
Good morning. I'm Jack Danielle Meyer from Seattle, Washington. We're here visiting my sister, Chris.
Thank you. Welcome to all of you. We're glad to have you with us. I'd like to draw your attention to several items that are listed in your weekly newsletter. And we have lots that's going on at UUCL, so I encourage you, please, to read the newsletter every week so that you can keep track of everything that's happening. Social justice has a very full slate of activities. Of special note is the vital work regarding immigration in our area, which we all know right now to be a very important topic to pay attention to. And particularly, I'd like to note three of our most engaged members, George Kanek, and Lynn Nordenberg, and Sarah Birch. And if you guys don't mind, would you stand? If any of you should have questions about the work that's being done in this area on immigration, please get in touch with these people because they are very, very vital to some very important things right now. Also in the newsletter, be sure to check out the information about Families Against Book Bans, which is gathering in Beaufort on May 6th, and also information about the upcoming Low Country Indivisible activities. We have a few items we'd like for you to put on your calendar. On June 1st, there will be a professional photographer here to take candid shots of our community for use in updating our website. There are going to be more details and reminders to come, but we just thought we'd give you an advance warning ahead of time so that in case you want to make your salon appointments now, Gary, you can. On May 11th, we'll celebrate Mother's Day with our annual flower ceremony, which will be conducted by Reverend Hood. And please plan on bringing a flower with you that day. Of course, we share. But you also may wish to make an additional donation that day by bringing a plant that can be added to the garden outside our front doors. Gary has supplied a list of plants that fare best in that particular area, and the list is available for you to look at in the lobby after the service. On Wednesday, May the 7th, we will have movie night again at 6 o'clock, and Social Justice has chosen the film this time, which is Loving. It's a 1958 story of the couple, the interracial couple that married and eventually changed the law. You can watch the film ahead of time by streaming it on Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or YouTube. If you wish to attend, please sign up in the lobby or give your name to Lynn Nordenberg, and then bring a dish to share and come and enjoy the great discussions we always have. And Rosemary said to be sure that you get the film Loving. I guess there are 3 films out that have that in the title. The one that you want to look for is simply called Loving for you to stream. And finally, Tina Hintz wants me to remind everyone about the May River Cleanup that'll take place on May 3rd from 3 to 11:30, or 9 till 11:30. And the event will kick off at the Oyster Factory Park in Bluffton. I'd like to take a moment to extend a thank you to Gary for all of the work that he has done, beautifying the parking lot, which was an absolute delight to drive into today for all of us. And I think Gary has some additional comments that he'd like to make too.
Hi, so rumor has it I'm Gary Green. So as follow-up to Beth's announcement about the flowers, on May 24th, a group of people from the Buildings and Grounds Committee will be here. That's a Saturday, to do a bunch of work outside to complement our parking lot. Hey, Zach. To complement our parking lot, we have a newly purchased no parking sign that we'll put up in addition to some other cleanup and planting of said flowers. I encourage everyone who can make it to just contact me and let me know so I can plan best for that day to see what we can accomplish. In addition, you all know there are so many wonderful things and programs that go on in our community. The social justice, the education, everything else I cannot name. But I would like to share with you a list of some things that I happen to be involved in. And this is certainly not about me, this is about our community. The parking lot refurb, the foyer painting and the new baffles, the sanctuary painting, the soundboard replacement, cleaning of the outside windows, power washing building and cleaning windows, replacements of older non-functioning air conditioning units. There's a monthly air conditioning unit maintenance, tree trimming that we had outside, which made a big difference for safety, beautification, and the parking lot lighting. Replacing a 300 amp circuit that needed to be replaced, landscaping, etc. How do these things happen? Volunteers and funding. That is the bottom line. Without the funding, which comes from your pledges, which comes from grants, from wonderful, generous giving, these things cannot get done. These things cannot be maintained. In addition to that, volunteering is critical to have these things done outside to make this a wonderful place to be. So this is the season to please keep these things in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Those are all important reminders and highlights of what we can accomplish together. And now I believe Anthony would like to have a few words.
Hey gang, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony.
So, kitchen is my thing, most of you know that. In there every week I'm here, I have no problem with that. A couple of reminders. I just put out last week a new set of clipboard with all dates that you guys can say that you're gonna donate snack and bring something in. We can have more than one person any 1 week, just maybe not 3 or 4, maybe 2. And so that's one thing, all right? The next way to help us is that. Everyone knows what that is, right? I was a bartender for a long time. It's a tip jar. All right, next, you can, we are going to have this up in there, and it's a dry erase board, so it'll change from time to time. Today I put the example of a kitchen wish list with Folgers coffee regular, and I put 1, 2, or 3. We cannot fit 5, 6, 7, 8, because I know you people. You'll see that up there, and the next week, 10 of you will bring coffee that we have no room for. So please, if you're number 1, cross it off with the pen up there. Number 2, number 3, so on. That's it. So that's going to be hanging in there and change from time to time. Yellow cups. These are for the guests that are coming from out of town or people that are checking us out. There's about 6 or 7 of them. You regular members don't take these cups. And so we can, if you see someone with this cup, gravitate towards that person and say hello. All right, very simple. The one other thing is, I'm not complaining, but I'm alone today. All right, it's lonely in there when I'm alone. So there is a list inside on the board where you can sign up to help me. It's pretty easy. You know, I'll make the coffee. Ron and Tina are usually helping. Neither of them, I don't think, are here today, but if any of us, we all like a little help. You know, putting the snacks out, weighing them out, cutting them up, all that stuff. Real easy. Anyway, thanks. I'm talking too much. I'm leaving now. Sorry, gotta take my props.
Okay, we'll give you your props. Thank you.
They're all necessary.
And anybody can go right after Anthony to do that help if you would like. Does anybody else have any announcements? Any more announcements? We've had kind of a full plate today of things. Okay. What I'd like to do now is to introduce to you Diane Valeri, who will give us some words that will inspire us concerning the stewardship message that we all want to take to heart.
Hi everyone, I'm Diane, and I walked through these doors 3 years ago. And I remember sitting in the back and thinking that one day I would be brave enough to come up to the microphone and share a concern or a joy. And maybe 6 months later, I was brave enough to do that. And look where I am now. I'm up on the big stage. I wanted to share a little bit about my spiritual practice and how much this institute, as this congregation, has helped me. So I'm going to start out with a poem that I wrote, and it's called Practicing. I'd like to laugh more and judge less. I'd like to be braver, worry less. Compliment more, disconnect less. Follow my intuition more and resent less. I'd like to be more, and less. What I love about UUCL is not only the spiritual inspirational messages and music, but of course the free snacks and coffee and conversation, and also the talk back, which is also known as group therapy. Monday night, I join Clay or David Rosenberg, and we do meditation that's offered through Zoom. On monthly Tuesday nights, I go to the small dinner groups. On Wednesdays, once a month, I join the movie with potluck and conversation. And newly on the schedule is Thursday, where I'm joining the peace the Peace Squad. I don't know if you know that, but if you want to use the building for some interest you have, it's available to you as a member, no charge. And then on a Friday or Saturday night, I join in with the music on Malfris. And come on, people, where can you get a glass of wine for $5? So there's always offerings here, mostly free of charge, mostly hosted by volunteers in our community. There's transitions hosted by Anne. There's a talent show. There's ladies out to lunch, tea and terrace. And I'm here today to ask you to help keep our doors open and make all of our activities accessible and free to everyone. I hope you'll consider giving generously. We are at the last stages of the once-a-year pledge drive, and I hope you'll decide that this spiritual community is worth making a commitment to. So I hope you'll give back to the community that supports you. Members of the Finance Committee will be available in the Clara Barton Conference Room after service to answer your questions about this year's drive or about the status of your current fiscal year's pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. I just want to underscore the importance of all of the messages that she gave you just now, because we are coming to the close on the pledge drive, and so it's really important that everybody remember and give generously. Again, we feel very fortunate to have Clint Tawes with us today. And as always, Clint, your topic for today piques our interest because we're already grooving with Diana. And Clint, we'd like to invite your opening words.
Good morning. Good morning. The last time I was here, I told you I'd be preaching a message entitled Hold My Mule. And I promised the title would make sense once you heard the sermon. I may still preach that sermon one day, and I stand by my word. When I do, the title will make sense. But a few weeks ago, I began preparing a Diana Ross themed service to share with the UU congregations in Statesboro and Brunswick. And I have to say, I have never enjoyed preparing for a service as much as I did for these. That's when I realized that this sermon, this story, this gospel, if you will, aligns with this month's theme of joy far better than the message I had originally planned. And if I needed any more confirmation of the power of music, I found it last night, when at the age of 45, I attended my very first concert, Bonnie Raitt. And it was, without exaggeration, a sacred experience. Music has a way of reaching us in places that words alone sometimes cannot. It lifts us, frees us, and reminds us of who we are. And sometimes it calls us to be more fully ourselves, which is why today we turn to another voice, a voice that's been doing that exactly for generations, the voice of Diana Ross. Why Diana Ross, you may ask? Couldn't you convey the same message using a more traditional source? Maybe I could. But by the end of the service, I hope you'll understand why no one could be a better source for this message, and why, for me, she is an inspiration and her work a sacred text. One of the most liberating aspects of Unitarian Universalism is that we do not draw wisdom from a single sacred text. Instead, we're invited to seek truth from many sources, recognizing that truth is not always found in the pages of a book. Sometimes it's found in nature. Sometimes it rises up from within ourselves. And we also find truth in the words and deeds of prophetic people who challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Prophetic voices don't always come robed in clergy stoles or standing behind pulpits. Sometimes they arrive wrapped in sequins, standing in the spotlight, singing about freedom, about love, about becoming. So this morning I invite you all to bring your full self, your seeking, your questions, your joy, into a spirit of openness as we celebrate the wisdom, courage, and radiance of a woman who has helped many people, myself included, find their voice. Let us open our hearts and allow our spirits to be lifted. Come, let us worship together.
And now, if you would, turn in your hymnal to number 38 and join in singing Morning Has Broken.
One way that we give to the community is through our food donations to the Sandalwood Food Pantry on Hilton Head and the Bluffton Self-Help in Bluffton. So for those of you who have already contributed food, we thank you. For those who have not, we accept your donations every week on the back table that you see spring into action, and that's one thing that we do. That's another thing that we do is we take collection every week, and we do this to sustain our community here in the church and the work that we do that you have heard described this morning. So now we will pass the basket. We thank you for your ongoing generosity.
This is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns. In sharing our joys, we can celebrate with each other, and in voicing our concerns, we can find support to help lighten our burdens. If you have a joy or concern, please come forward, give us your name, and take a stone from the basket and place it in the cairn. Please, no announcements or political statements.
I've been in communications with Ed Popka, and as you know, they're on a round-the-world trip, and she got sick on the very first stop in Sapporo, Japan. And so she's being treated there, and it looks like one more week of antibiotics, and she can come home. So they're cutting the trip short. So anyway, I have her international phone number. So if you want to see me, I'll be right here, and I'll give you her international phone number if you want to give. And that's Barbara Popka, and I have the information.
What? I don't think I want to be sick of Japan.
Good morning. I'm Kay Sartorius, also a member of the board and a member of the care committee. And I'm following up on Gordon's announcement. As you heard, Barbara is in the hospital in Japan. And I've been able to send her email messages and even email cards. And she's been responding and saying how happy she is with everyone's concern and love. And so continue. I'm sure she'll be even happier and hopefully speed her progress. I also have information on a long-time member. I think Charlotte was probably one of the founding members. I know she's belonged to the congregation for a long time, but it's been like 2 weeks ago, she was walking with her daughter on the beach, and she turned to admire a flower and fell backwards. And unfortunately, it wasn't sand that she landed on. She landed on a rock and broke her hip. So she had to be hospitalized. She had a ball put in her hip, and apparently it's going to make her stronger, but it does take a while for recuperation. So she's now in the Farber Center at Seabrook, and she can receive guests there or mail or greetings, whatever. Her daughters have been with her, but they're leaving on Tuesday. So I'm sure next week she'd really enjoy and appreciate some sort of greeting. And I'll put 2 stones in the cairn for them because they really deserve it. Thank you.
Hi, it's me again. So you've heard my spiel before and about the things that I've been involved in, because that's the kind of stuff that I do. But if you think about UU and you think about our principles of love and respect and equality and caring, my joy is that we have this social justice arm and group of people who volunteer their time and their soul to make important things happen. And I am so proud to be a part of this community that does that kind of work. And Lynn and George and a whole mess of others, you are just wonderful, and thank you.
Hello, I'm Kat. I am sharing a joy today, especially because my husband Darren just shared something so sweet to me. And I was supposed to actually speak with the older kids today about Ann Harrison. I am not, but I was supposed to lead the class. And I had a special message for them, and now there were no kids who showed up, which probably because Ann Harrison, I am not. So I wanted to share with them the idea that, actually a literary theory, that Dr. Rudine Sims Burke, she is Professor Emeritus. Thank you. Thank you. At Ohio State University. And she is known as the mother of cultural literature for children. And her theory is about mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors to learn about the cultures of other people. Mirrors show a reflection of you, of who you are and the culture that you are, and you can see yourself represented in that culture. Windows allow you to see into the space of other people, and sliding glass doors are stories that welcome you into that culture and allow you to learn more about it. I heard this theory while I was in college, and it really meant a lot to me, and I saw myself represented and understood more about certain cultures, and then also was able to see from a window of others. And so I wanted to share that message with you all because I didn't get to share it with the kids. And we're all kids at heart. So I also have another joy, and it is directed to my husband. Yesterday we got to do something really fun together. We got to share some time our work came together. And it was just really, really fun. And he's such a good guy, and it kind of reminded me that he's a good guy, and that one. And so when he said something so nice to me about my class not being here today, I was like, you know what, he's really funny, and I'm going to share the message with you. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
At this time, I will place 2 stones in the cairn to celebrate all of our unspoken joys and concerns. I will also place a stone in the vase for all those that are victims of gun violence.
Goes on and on and on.
And now at this time, if you would, in your hymnals, turn to number 515, affirmation section. Together, if you would, please read with me, "We lift up our hearts in thanks." For the sun and the dawn, which we did not create. For the moon and the evening, which we did not make. For food which we plant, but cannot grow. For friends and loved ones we have not earned and cannot buy. For this gathered company, which welcomes us as we are, whenever we have come, for all of our free churches that keep us human and encourage us in our quest for beauty, truth, and love. For all things which come to us as gifts from being sources beyond ourselves, gifts of life and love and friendship, we lift up our hearts in thanks for this day.
And now, Clint, we will turn it over to you.
I should preface my introduction by saying that if you're a devoted admirer of the British monarchy, I mean no offense by what I'm about to say. But on the day that Queen Elizabeth II passed away, I first heard the news when a student came rushing toward me during recess, exclaiming, "Mr. Tawes, Mr. Tawes, the Queen died." I paused for a moment, then calmly reached into my pocket, retrieved my phone, did a quick Google search, and replied, "No, she didn't. Diana Ross is alive and well. Long live the Queen." Now, I had no personal issue with Queen Elizabeth, but the fact is, royalty is, at its core, a human construct. A nation may bestow a crown as a symbol of power and tradition, but on a personal level, we each have figures of reverence, those we elevate, those who inspire us, individuals whose presence feels larger than life. And for me, there is but one queen, the great Diana Ross. But I didn't always know that. I came out of the closet at age 27. But as a Pentecostal preacher, mine wasn't just the typical closet. It was fortified, steel reinforced, airtight. It was less of a closet and more of a dungeon, sealed off from the world with no windows to let in the light of possibility. And when I finally broke free, I wasn't just stepping into the world, I was stepping into the gay world, a universe that had always existed just beyond my reach, and it fascinated me. The bold self-expression of drag queens, the deep appreciation for camp theatricality, the coded language and inside jokes that had been passed down through generations. It was all new to me, and I soaked it in with curiosity and excitement. But there was one thing I did not quite understand, and that was the tendency of gay men to have a near religious devotion to iconic female performers, often referred to as divas. I remember listening with curiosity as a college professor. One of the first people I came out to gushed about Barbra Streisand. And although I had no negative feelings about this legendary singer and actor, I just didn't comprehend the fascination. Likewise, I had fond memories of watching The Wizard of Oz as a child, but I could not understand why the gay community seemed to idolize Judy Garland. Madonna was an amazing singer and performer, but she didn't exactly walk on water. Then, amidst this pantheon of iconic women, one figure ascended above the rest, Diana Ross, rising like a goddess, radiant and undeniable. It wasn't that I was discovering her for the first time. I had always known her name, her music, her legendary status, but now I was seeing her with new eyes, and I was captivated by every detail. She did not merely exude radiance, she embodied it, moving with effortless grace, her every step a lesson in elegance. Her voice, smooth as velvet, yet powerful as a storm, wrapped itself around every note, turning each song into an experience. Sweeping, soaring, pulling me in until I felt as though I was not just listening, but living inside the music. She shimmered in sequins, radiated glamour, yet carried herself with warmth. Never distant, always inviting the world into her glow. Whether commanding a stadium or gliding onto a talk show stage with a knowing smile, she exuded an energy that was both larger than life and deeply personal. She was not just a performer, she was a presence, a force, a woman who moved through the world as if she had been born to be adored. And in that moment, I knew I had found my goddess. Discovering Diana Ross in this way wasn't just about music or admiration, it was about something deeper. There was something in her presence, in the way she carried herself, that resonated with me in a way I hadn't expected. She was bold yet graceful, powerful yet warm, unapologetically herself in every setting. And as I stood in awe of her, I began to understand something I hadn't fully grasped before. Embracing who you are, fully, unapologetically, and without hesitation, is not just an act of self-expression, it is an act of liberation. And an act of joy. Because joy is more than happiness. Joy is a sacred spark that rises when you claim your truth, when you stop hiding and start dancing. And who better to lead the way into that truth than the woman who declared to the world, "I'm coming out." In 1979, songwriters Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards were hired to produce Diana Ross's album, Diana. The two had been brought on to help reinvent Ross's sound and image as she prepared to leave Motown Records, the label that had launched her career nearly 2 decades earlier. That summer, Nile Rodgers was out bar hopping in New York City when he wandered into Gigi's Barnum Room, a legendary nightclub known for its extravagant drag performances and vibrant LGBTQ crowd. While in the men's room, Rodgers suddenly noticed that he was surrounded by drag queens, but not just any drag queens. Drag queens dressed as Diana Ross. It was in that moment that inspiration struck. What if Diana Ross had a song that celebrated freedom and self-expression, he thought. What if she had an anthem that not only captured her own reinvention, but also honored the people who idolized her? He rushed out of the restroom to a nearby payphone and called Bernard Edwards, exclaiming, "Write this down, I'm coming out." They wrote the song quickly, pouring into it a sense of joy, power, and personal liberation. When Ross first heard it, she loved the sound. But when she realized what the phrase coming out meant in gay culture, she hesitated. The phrase coming out was, and still is, widely recognized as a declaration of LGBTQ identity, and Ross was concerned the public might misinterpret the song, assuming she was making a personal statement about her own sexuality. But Rogers explained that the song was bigger than any one interpretation. It was about emergence, about freedom, about owning who you are without apology. And that was a message that resonated deeply with Ross, especially as she was stepping into her own independence after years of being shaped by Motown. Ross recorded the song later that year, and it was released as the second single from her album Diana in August of 1980. It quickly became a cultural anthem, not just for gay audiences, but for anyone stepping into their true self. Over time, I'm Coming Out became more than a hit song. It became a rallying cry, a celebration of authenticity, and a reminder that there is both joy and power in showing the world exactly who you are. But of course, there's a difference between believing in authenticity and actually living it. It's one thing to nod along to the message. It's another thing to entirely to put it into practice, to live your truth out loud, even when it feels vulnerable. I learned that in a very unexpected way. Now, I've never been what you'd call shy, at least not in the traditional sense. I've never had trouble speaking in front of crowds, preaching to a packed sanctuary, or commanding a room with my voice. But looking silly in front of people, being the center of attention in a way that might provoke laughter instead of applause, that's another story. So in 2008, when two women in Charleston invited me to perform in an amateur charity drag show at Club Pantheon and told me I'd be lip-syncing I'm Coming Out, I was hesitant. The poetry of the moment wasn't lost on me. Here I was, not long out of the closet myself, a former Pentecostal preacher about to strut across a nightclub stage in heels and a wig, performing the very anthem that had helped me crack open my closet door. I agreed to do it reluctantly, but only because my friends assured me that once the makeup and costume were on, I'd be unrecognizable. I thought, if I don't look like me, I won't feel like me. I'll tap into some fabulous drag alter ego and leave Clint backstage. It reminded me of high school when I was the school mascot. I was painfully shy during practices, but once I put on the bulldog costume, I was free. I figured drag would work the same way. So for weeks, I practiced in my bedroom, lip-syncing into a hairbrush, choreographing every move. I was determined to be fabulous. Then the night of the show arrived. And when they finished my makeup and spun my chair to look in the mirror, I did not see a glamorous diva staring back at me. I saw Clint, in a wig that looked not so much like Diana Ross, but more like Delta Burke in a bad storm. My makeup was trying its hardest, but instead of transforming me into a beautiful impersonation of a woman, I looked like a church deacon who had lost a bet. I panicked. As the performer before me finished up, I stood backstage, frozen. My heart was pounding. My friends were in the audience, and one of them, someone I had a bit of a crush on, was standing right in front of the stage. I was about to make a complete fool of myself in front of Charleston's entire gay community. And then, just before I became the runaway drag queen, my goddess began to sing. You know how the song begins, that joyful horn riff, the bass line strutting in like it owns the place, and her voice, bold, clear, commanding, I'm coming out. Hearing those words from that voice, something within me immediately shifted. My fear didn't vanish, it just stopped mattering. My inhibitions fell away like a cheap boa. I didn't just walk onto that stage, I sauntered, I strutted, I let go and let the music carry me. And although I forgot every choreographed move I had practiced, I did not care. I was having the time of my life. Then came the instrumental break after the second verse, and I got bold. I spotted my friend, the one I had the crush on, standing front and center, and without a moment's hesitation, I grabbed his hand and pulled him up on stage. During the 40-second instrumental, we danced, we laughed, and in the joy of that moment, with lights shining down and music pulsing all around, it felt like we were suspended in something sacred, as if the hundreds of people surrounding us had completely disappeared and we were the only two people in the building. Then I whispered, "I'll give you a little peck on the cheek to signal when you can head back down." Without missing a beat, he responded, "Peck hell." And right there, under those bright lights, with hundreds of spectators watching, he gave me what is still to this day the most mind-blowing, lipstick-smearing, breath-stealing, knee-buckling kiss I have ever had in my life. Am I saying Diana Ross's music is magic? Well, I'm not saying that. But here's what I know for sure. Just moments earlier, I was hiding behind a curtain, literally, paralyzed by fear and self-doubt. And then in an instant, I stepped into the light. Not just the light of a stage, but the light of my own becoming. And what happened in that moment was more than a personal victory. It was a glimpse of what's possible when we stop shrinking, stop hiding, and let joy lead us forward. I'm Coming Out isn't just a song about stepping out of the closet. It's about stepping into your truth. It's about shaking off shame. It's about silencing the voices that say, "Don't be too much. Stay quiet. Play it safe." It's about making the courageous decision to show up fully as yourself. And that's not just a message for LGBTQ folks. That is a human message. All of us are carrying something we're afraid to reveal. Some are hiding grief. Some are hiding dreams. Some are hiding joy. Some are hiding the voice inside that says there's more to me than what the world sees. And for some, that voice has been met with resistance. Maybe you've been told you're too old, that your best years are behind you. Maybe you've held back because of a past mistake, because of what people expect of you, because someone once made you feel small, because you learned to be invisible to stay safe, because survival meant staying quiet. But that voice is still there. And deep down, you know as long as you're still breathing, there's still plenty of becoming to do. There's still a light inside of you. There's still a song waiting to be sung. There's still a part of you the world needs to see. And if that's you, if there's a light in you that's been covered up by fear or shame or silence, if you've been waiting for permission to let it shine, then hear the gospel according to Diana Ross. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. Maybe it's time. Maybe this is your moment. Maybe this is the day you step out. Not just out of hiding, but into wholeness. Let the music play. Let the light in. Let the joy in, and come on out. You know, when I get into that preacher rhythm like that, it really makes it feel easy, doesn't it? But in reality, coming out isn't easy. Whether you're coming out as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or simply coming out as yourself, as an artist, as a dreamer, as someone with a different path, a different truth, a different kind of light, it requires courage. It asks you to risk being seen, and it often means leaving behind something familiar to step into something uncertain. When I first made the decision to come out, it wasn't as simple as just stepping into light. I could see the life I longed for, a life of honesty, freedom, connection, a life of peace, a life of joy. But between me and that life stood a mountain. Not just a metaphor, not just a feeling, a mountain built from very real things, made of paychecks I wouldn't earn anymore because the only career I had ever known was one that would no longer welcome me. Made of friendships I knew I would lose, family members who would stop calling, church members who would start praying for me instead of with me. I didn't just fear being misunderstood, I feared being abandoned, cut off, forgotten. And that mountain stood between me and the life I had only dared to imagine. A life where I could be fully known and still fully loved. A life where I could laugh freely, dance freely, love freely, where I could know joy without guilt. And yet, Jesus once said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. I didn't know if I had that kind of faith. Now, I realized when Diana Ross sang the words, ain't no mountain high enough, she wasn't offering a sermon. She wasn't writing a theological treatise. She was performing a reimagined love song, one originally recorded by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, now infused with orchestral elegance and Ross's own sense of power and drama. So yes, I admit I'm taking the lyrics out of context, but when I heard her sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough, I didn't just hear music. I heard momentum. I heard defiance. I heard joy that refused to be buried beneath fear. Because what gave those words weight wasn't just the lyrics, but the life of the woman who sang them. Even if the mountain didn't move all at once, I could move, I could step, I could climb, and I did. I found courage not in the chorus alone, but in the story of someone who had faced mountains of her own and climbed them with elegance and grit. Someone who didn't come from power or privilege, someone who knew what it was to start at the bottom. Diana Ross grew up in the Brewster Douglas housing projects, a neighborhood where dreams didn't always survive the weight of reality, a place that didn't hand out crowns but raised women who knew how to wear them. She dreamed of something bigger, something brighter, and she never let go of that dream. When she auditioned for Motown, she wasn't immediately seen as a star. She was told she was too young, too soft-spoken, not quite ready for the spotlight. But she kept showing up. She kept climbing. She became the lead singer of the Supremes, the first black female group to achieve mainstream crossover success. They broke records. They broke barriers. They became the soundtrack of an era. And when it was time to step into a new chapter, she did so with both strength and sorrow. Leaving the group wasn't about ego, it was about growth, about honoring what had been while trusting there was still more to become. She stepped out as a solo artist, risking it all, starting over, defying every expectation. And still, there were more mountains. As a black woman in an industry dominated by white men, she had to fight for respect, for control over her own image, for the right to define herself on her own terms. She faced criticism, condescension, and dismissal, and she met it all with poise, with style, and with a refusal to dim her light for anyone. She showed us, not just with her voice, but with her life, that no mountain is too high when you know who you are and what you're worth. So yes, when she sang those words, ain't no mountain high enough, I may have borrowed them for my own journey, but I believed them because she lived them. Because she had climbed, because she kept climbing, and because she made space on the mountain for the rest of us. Maybe your mountain looks different than mine. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's loss. Maybe it's the weight of expectations that were never really yours to carry. Whatever stands between you and the life you long for, may you find the courage to take the first step, to believe that you are worthy of joy, not worthy of joy someday, not worthy when everything goes right, worthy right now, worthy of joy because you are alive, because you are enough. And as we climb, may we remember that we don't have to climb alone. Because sometimes the first act of liberation is exactly what Diana Ross invited us to do in her very first solo release. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. So take that first step. And when it feels too steep, too far, or too heavy, remember you were made for joy. Not someday, not when you have it all figured out, but right now, exactly as you are. Joy isn't just the reward for living authentically. Joy is the power that makes it possible. Joy is what carries us through fear, through uncertainty, through every mountain we thought we couldn't climb. When we claim our light, when we dance without waiting for permission, when we dare to show up fully and fearlessly, we are participating in something holy. We are choosing life. We are choosing joy. And when we leave this place today, may we do so with a little more lightness in our step, a little more music in our spirit, and a deep knowing that joy is not just something we feel, it is something we live. Amen, and long live the Queen.
If you would, please turn in your hymnal to number 318, 318, We Would Be One. In closing, we'd like to thank you very much, Clint, for being here. You always delight us, you always inspire us, and you always teach us. And I'd also like to extend thanks to the many people who make our Sundays possible, with sight and sound and song that extends beyond our walls, with the loving care of our youngest yuyus, with warm greetings as we enter and safe monitoring during our services, and of course, the solo kitchen crew known as Anthony today, who we will enjoy his labors soon, and we invite you all to gather together. Once again, to our guests today, thank you so much for being with us. We are pleased to see you here. We hope to see you again. And after our refreshments, we hope that you will join us for our talk back session, where we get to express our ideas, ask our questions, and enjoy each other further. So we hope to see you. And Clint, we're going to ask you for your final words.
As we leave this place, may we carry with us the courage to be seen, the boldness to be heard, and the joy of living fully and freely. May we move through the world with the kind of grace that dazzles not just because it demands attention, but because it invites others into the glow. May we remember that joy is not a prize to be earned, but a birthright to be claimed. Go forth with your head held high, your heart wide open, and your spirit ready to shine. Amen.
And if you're willing and able, will you please stand and join me with the words that are written in your bulletin to extinguish the flame.
We will carry in our hearts the light of truth and the warmth of community and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
Again.
Thank you.